Good morning. Today is Friday, March 2nd. This is a meeting of the Los Angeles City Council. We're here in Van Nuys City Hall, the first Friday of the month. If you're unable to be here, you can watch us on Channel 35 as well as going to our website, and we encourage that participation. Today we have two presentations, special presentations. I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Cardenas for our first presentation.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I'd like the representatives of the Posse Foundation to please come forward. That sounds kind of interesting, but you're going to find out why it's called the Posse Foundation. The Posse Foundation began in 1989 because one student who said, and I'll quote, "I never would have dropped out of college if I had my posse with me." And that's what began the Posse Foundation, a support system that goes like this. In its 17-year history, a total of 1,500 Posse scholars have received over $142 million in full tuition, merit leadership scholarships from top-tier colleges and universities throughout the country. Nationally, the Posse scholars achieve a 90% persistence and graduation rate. In 2006, the Posse Los Angeles received over 800 nominations from Los Angeles area high schools and community colleges and organizations for the Posse Scholarship, and 43 scholars were awarded full tuition, merit leadership-based scholarships, in December totaling over $4 million. And to date, 192 Los Angeles high school seniors Posse scholarships have been awarded for over $19 million in just 4 years. I had the honor of speaking at the Posse's Foundation's last year's award ceremony in December. It was a very moving experience to see the families and the young people as they spoke about how their dreams are going to come true, and about how some of them, as a family and as individuals, never believed that they would have this opportunity to live their dream of going to college. And I urge all of my colleagues and the rest of the city to become involved with the amazing organization. I myself am looking forward to 2 of the Posse recipients, the scholars, to work in my office this summer. And that's part of the coordinated effort that the Posse's career program has. So the Posse Foundation is about giving these young people this unprecedented amount of money so that they can go to college and finish up their dream of attaining their degree. Yet at the same time, it's very involved. They counsel them, they stay in touch with them, they network with them, and that's why it's called the Posse Foundation. They are now their crew. They are now their group. They are now their friends. They are their supporters, and they are there for them. And that's why they have a success rate of over 90%. That means for every 10 young people that goes to college under this program, 9 out of 10 attain their degree. That is unprecedented. There are very few organizations that have mastered the ability to help our young people as they have. And with that, I'd like to turn the microphone over to Maya Ramos, and after that, we'll hear from some of the Posse scholars. Maya? And photographer.
We just wanted to thank you, Councilman Cardenas, for your continued support of the Posse Foundation and for sponsoring the event. And we wanted to give the opportunity for 3 of the scholars living in your district to thank you personally. So we'll start with David Barrientos.
Another important thing that Posse has done for us is they haven't just given us friends. But growing up, my dad always told me, friends come and go, but family will always be there. And what Posse has given us, they've given us a family to go through our hardships together. And that's what makes Posse so great.
Say your name, what school you go to.
My name is Juan Carlos Flores, and I go to James Monroe High School. I'd just like to thank you, City Councilman Cardenas, first of all, for inviting us Posse scholars here today, but most importantly, for participating in the Posse Foundation's progress and process. Without you and your staff, we would not be able to spread community awareness about what the Posse Foundation does and we wouldn't be able to continue our mission in Los Angeles to ensure that that the Posse Foundation could award more leadership scholarships, partner itself with more colleges and universities, and set up more offices. So on behalf of the Los Angeles Dickinson College Posse 3, I'd like to thank you.
Your name and what school?
My name is Luis Esparza, and I go to San Fernando High School. And today I would just like to thank you, Tony Cardenas, for inviting us here today and acknowledging our achievement through the Posse Foundation. And it's a great honor to be here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So with that, I'd like to give this resolution on behalf of the City Council of Los Angeles to the Posse Foundation, not only to the people who work there and provide these dreams for these young people, but this is to be given and to be honored by all of the students, past and present and future, who have been part of the Posse Foundation. And once again, I encourage you, colleagues, to please find out more about this foundation, help our schools, help them network so that they can get more applications, so they can have the best and the brightest receive their scholarships. Remember, these are full ride scholarships. Just this year alone, they gave out $4 million in commitments to these young people. Let's give them a hand. He's a little slow. One more. Okay. Thank you very much.
Good luck in your campaign.
Thank you. We also have one for David Barrientos. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you.
Juan Carlos Flores. Luis Esparza.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cardenas. I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Wesson for a presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President and members, and thank you, Melrose, for that rousing round of applause you gave me today. In fact, I think if you take Toby in front, could he be seen up here on the camera? Or let's get moving.
Let's see, they did have a wide shot earlier of kind of from the left side.
Move Toby over a little or anyway, trust me, whoever's watching, that there is a dog here. You may not see him, but he is here.
Why don't we try to go in front of Mr.
Mr. Labange is
Mr.
going to
Wesson.
help us
Try to come in front of Mr. Wesson in the front of the podium there, and maybe we can see the dog then. The camera shot, if we could ask Channel 35 to pull.
Channel 35, pull, so we can show Toby, so we can find Toby a home.
Pull.
No, you hold him. He's strong. Anyway, today we have a 2-year-old male, York, what is that,
There.
Stratfordshire mix?
There you go, see him.
We have him? Yeah, look at Toby. He's really playful. He's 2 years old. His owners moved, so they brought him to the shelter. He has all of his shots. He's been neutered, microchipped. We got him from the East Valley facility. Anybody that's interested in taking Toby home, who, again, the owners were really saddened that they had to leave him, but they were moving, please call 888-4LA-PET-1. 888-4LA-PET-1. Now, we have a 100% adoption record in the city of Los Angeles. We do not want to break that record. So anybody that wants a companion animal that will be with you in good days and bad, please find a home for Toby. Thank you very much. Again, interested, please call 888-4LA-PET-1. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wesson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Cardenas, Gruel, Han, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Westenstein, Garcetti, 10 members present and a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you. First order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Yes, Mr. Zine moves and Mr. Rosendahl seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Those will be approved.
The first item on the agenda, Madam President, item number 1, is an item notice for public hearing. It's a finding of public convenience or necessity in Council District 12. A motion is required to grant or deny the application.
Yes, Mr. Smith, are we going to, on item number 1, grant the, we need a motion on that item?
Either to grant or deny.
To grant or
There were
deny?
no recommendations. A finding needs to be made. It's a public convenience or necessity in Council District 12.
That's what I said.
Yeah, granted. Okay, move approval. Okay, Madam Clerk, open the roll on that item, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
That item's been approved. Next item?
Next items are items for which public hearings have been held, items 2 through 6.
Any special colleagues on items 2 through 6? Not. Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Those items have been approved. Next items.
Next items are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration, and there are cards on several of the items.
Yes, I think we do have items, cards on 7, 17, 32, and 35.
And I believe that there's a card just being turned in on 14 also.
Correct. Okay. Colleagues, yes, Mr. Labange.
Number 29 and number 33 for Ms. Hahn.
Called special, okay? Thank you. Any other specials, colleagues? If not, Madam Clerk, open the roll on the remainder of those items. Close the roll. Tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Those items have been approved.
And Madam President, on the ordinances, items 8 through 16, with the exception of 14, those orders are over to March 16th.
They'll be held over to March 16th. Thank you. Because we don't anticipate 12 today, so.
No.
Next item.
Madam President, you do have a commissioner, item number 7. Do you wish to take that, Commissioner, up, confirmation before public comment?
Please.
Okay, that's confirmation of Mr. Richard Corona to the North Valley APC, and it's communication from the Vice Chair of Plum.
Okay, Mr. Corona, is Mr. Corona here? Hi, Mr. Corona. We do have a public comment card on that item, so I'd like to ask Zumadog on item number 7.
Yes, thank you. Hello, check. Thank you, City Council, for joining me in my private chambers. I spend the other 29 days of the month here by myself. Item number 7, Planning and Land Use Committee. There's going to be a mayor's appointment. Richard Corona. Is Richard here? My questions will be for the Planning and Land Use. It's the most important department next to budget in the city. My question is high-density projects. I'd like to know where the chair will be standing on the approval of high-density projects to the city, because we have no infrastructure for the high density. The city's basically maxed out for the streets, the traffic, trash collection, waste, the schools, the police. It'd be nice to be able to continue to build high-density projects and keep, double decorating and, build 40 stories and put all the people here that move into town. But then the externalities, the side streets can't handle it, and all these other things, the trash, the waste, the schools, the police, the water, by the way, water. So I'd like to know where this appointee will be standing on approval of these high-density projects. I hope that anybody in this position will be very sensitive to the approval of any high-density projects that are not along, mass transit. There's a room for a little bit of development in certain areas, I'll give you that. But there's way too much development happening just for development's sake, because there's money to be made in construction. So I want to make sure that we can distinguish between the friendly and unfriendly constructions, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Corona, would you like to come to the front there? Thank you. You may actually sit at the table with us. Welcome. And I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Weiss. Are you the vice chair,
No,
Mr. Weiss? Okay, of
but
Plum.
the vice chair of the planning committee is a close personal friend of mine,
Yeah.
as is the chair.
but I sit on the planning committee, and we're just delighted that you're going to be serving the city. You're taking on an assignment that I guarantee you will cost you more hours than you have previously been told, but it's too late to back out now.
Thank you.
And we really appreciate the fact that you're going to be doing this public service, and we look forward to working with you. Good luck to you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Richard, nice to see you, and pleased with your appointment. Would you like to add anything before we take a vote?
Well,
Oh, I'm
no,
sorry.
oth-
Okay, we do.
Other than to respond to the young man that was up at the podium, I think each project has to be taken on its merit individually, with all the items that he mentioned taken into consideration. I think you have to be sensitive to the community and the people within that community. So all those I hope to evaluate and base it on the merit and what it does to the environment and that community. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. We do have a couple other council members now who have pushed their button. I'll acknowledge Mr. Reyes, who is chair of the committee.
Thank you, Madam President. First, I want to thank Mr. Corona for his contribution to our city, his hard work. I just wanted to ask one very general question. In your role as commissioner, what goals would you set for yourself as a commissioner, and your focus on housing and how we would address that issue that is affecting the whole city?
Particularly specifically in the North Valley, we still have a lot of open space out in that area. We also have a community that's aging, so I think we have to take all aspects of the community into consideration. We most certainly want to avoid gridlock and any stress that are put on our infrastructure out in the North Valley. There still is a lot of open space, I think, that we should try and maintain. So,
Mr. Corona, I just want to, again, thank you for your contribution and the hours. These are very critical issues, and these are individual properties, so the due diligence that we do take is much appreciated, and we thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Mr. Smith, followed by Mr. Rosendahl and Mr. Zine.
Thank you. And Mr. Corona, glad to have you here today. Mr. Corona is a resident of the 12th District, and we had a great discussion. We came in, we talked about the pressures that we have on us to create housing, but also preserve neighborhoods, to preserve our open space, and be cognizant of the environment. I found Mr. Corona very engaging and really understood the history of the valley, having been a resident here a very long time, but also understood the pressures that he's going to face as a zoning commissioner, and those pressures to build and not build, to preserve and protect, at the same time create. It's an ongoing tension that commission, more than any other commission, has to deal with. And I just want to say, Ms. Corona, I was very, very impressed with our meeting, your understanding of what the job you're taking on is. And like Mr. Reyes, I say, you know, I hope you understand after about a year or two that you really did do the right thing, because it's a very, very time-consuming commission, and it puts a lot of demands on you. But I did meet with him. I found him very engaging, very, very well qualified, and we'll be proud to have you. And thank you for your willingness to serve, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Madam President, and it was a pleasure to hear my colleagues speak so well of you. I don't know you at all, but my big issue, frankly, is how do we preserve affordable housing and how do we create more affordable housing? That's the big gap that seems to be getting larger and larger. In my district, which isn't your concern right now, half the people are renters, and the condo conversion strategy is throwing them out of my district because there isn't affordable rental units anymore in the West Side district near the ocean. So how would you see your leadership help us get more affordable housing for our people in the city?
Well, I think any new projects that come into the area most certainly have to take into consideration those individuals with the least amount of resource that we can incorporate, and you have to take each project on its merit, and possibly establish other avenues that these individuals can take, the individuals that don't have the resource. So,
because one of the challenges is, of course, to build it on site. You know, a lot of developers want to build the affordable component somewhere else, and say it doesn't pencil in for their on-site. I usually say, well, get a sharper pencil.
yeah.
And so, can you sense that we can actually create affordable in the mix of the others when the developer comes in?
Yeah, I'm confident that we can. I'm confident that there can be a merge and a marriage of both worlds there.
Great. Well, thank you and congratulations for stepping forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Madam President. Good morning, Mr. Cronin.
Morning.
The current occupation, you deal with individuals on dialysis in the medical field?
No, I don't. My wife does.
Your wife does?
My wife is.
Are you in that current field now?
No, I'm not.
You retired?
No, in fact, I've got 2 full-time jobs, and now I got a 3rd.
Okay. No, because I was looking at the form that was completed, and it only mentioned that dialysis.
No, my wife is a registered dialysis nurse and was director of nursing for the dialysis unit out in next to Mission Hills.
Okay.
Mission Hills Town.
What are you, your occupation?
I lecture at Cal State Northridge, and I'm a contracts compliance director for a nonprofit
Okay.
in City of Terrace.
The issue of open space, you mentioned open space in the Northeast Valley and gridlock. We currently have some open space, and we got a lot of gridlock in the Northeast Valley. And as people come in from Santa Clarita, Highway 14 to Highway 5, that gridlock gets worse and worse. And as they keep developing the north part of the county, it creates that jam where people live in one area and work in another area. I know that what we're trying to accomplish is that balance between jobs and housing, and oftentimes it's a difficult balance where you can find a residence you can afford and a job that provides the income where you can afford to live in that area. So we're trying to achieve that balance, even though we have open space, and certain parts of this valley do have a little open space, not a lot, not large parcels, but scattered around. I just want the sensitivity of those of us who are stuck in gridlock many days of the week, just trying to commute around Los Angeles, and that includes the times on the weekend. The other issue that is of concern is senior housing. We have many seniors that are being relocated because of condo conversions, and there's an allowance that goes with that. But people who are seniors who have some kind of a medical disability, it's becoming very troublesome for them. So I'd also ask that you be sensitive to the senior population and how we can provide housing for our aging population, quality housing, affordable housing, but it runs the gamut. But it seems that the experience has been with the developers is this issue of penciling out, which is the profit margin for the developers, but little compassion for the people who rely on the city to provide some type of affordable housing, whether it be for the young family or for the senior citizen, in particular those senior citizens with some type of medical. Are you aware of the issues with that, the population that we have to deal with that?
Yeah, hitting that mark next year, yes, I am aware of that. Having lived in the valley all my life, I've seen the growth and the aging of the valley, so I'm aware of how it's pushing up against the hills and the margins thereof. So, yes, I am.
Okay. Thank you very much. And welcome to the city family. As been stated, you'll be spending a lot of hours because as these projects go through, it's a long, cumbersome process.
Yeah.
So
I'm gathering that.
there you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Mr. Cardenas.
Richard, I know how busy you are. Are you crazy?
That's my
I
wife
say that.
says.
I say that because you're very involved in the community already. You work with a lot of not-for-profits. You teach over at Cal State Northridge, and this, I know you know what you're getting into. I'm just amazed that you're willing to give even more. But being a resident of the Northeast Valley, I can understand why you're doing that. But one thing I wanted to ask you is, when it comes to after you've studied up on all the information, and then you're going to be hearing a lot from the community members on various sides or aspects of the project, how do you feel what gives you the confidence to know that you're going to be able to be sometimes Solomon and split the baby, or sometimes have to say, no, this project doesn't work, or what have you? How do you feel about that? I know the fact that you're a resident, I know your involvement in the community, but can you tell us, not so much us, but the people watching, why you're willing to give that commitment to the community?
Well, I think that you're right. I have been a member of this community for all my life. I was born in Van Nuys at Van Nuys Hospital. My grandparents got there in 1918, so I'm very concerned about how the growth would take place within the valley and the citizens within that valley, the people within that valley, from the Canoga Park down to Pacoima, Arleta, and the items that go in there. So, yeah, it is going to be difficult. There should be growth, but I think smart growth is what's in order here, and the people's interest should always be put up in the forefront of anything that takes place.
Well, you live here. Many of the students that you teach live here. Much of your family and friends are the constituents that you're going to be serving. So I look forward to your service. I'm glad to see that you're willing to take on more. Thank you very much. It's a big task. I know you know what you're getting into. I just want to thank you personally for giving more to the community as you've given so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I just want to add my congratulations, Richard. We've had a chance to sit down over the years, and your dedication to this community and your understanding of the balance that you need to have in the preservation of some of our open space. And part of the North Valley covers Sunland Tahunga for me and Lakeview Terrace, which will be part of what you'll be talking about. And it's really, for us, a battleground of trying to protect that rural nature and the mountains. So I just also want to say, I don't know how you'll do it, but I know, I think of that old adage of busy people get a lot of things done, and I think that you fit into that category. So thank you for your willingness to serve.
Thank you, Wendy.
Nice to see you. Okay, Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
11 ayes.
Congratulations. Nice to see you. Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item?
Madam President, do you wish to take a public comment at this time?
Yes, we will take a public comment. I think what we'll do is we do have 3 from downtown. I will take them all together. Can we be able to access City Hall and downtown? I'd like to call the following individuals. We'll wait till we get access to downtown. They're ready. There you go. I'd like to call Chang first, followed by Richard, I think it's Robinson, followed by Charles Griffin. Ms. Chang.
Yes, good morning. My name is Myung Chang from 4th District. I'm here to talk about Osteria La Boca restaurant located at 5210.5 Melrose Avenue. My apartment and the restaurant are separated by 10-feet private driveway. Due to the proximity, I have been having problems with their operational conditions for 2 years. I'd like to see changes are made to mitigate the current situation. My concerns are as follows. Public nuisance for 2 years. A, daily kitchen activity noise such as clanking and banging pots, dishes, pans, and utensils, etc. during the hours when the kitchen back door and windows are open. Usually from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., even after they are closed, I hear the same noise from my bedroom. B, slamming the side wood gate, kitchen door, and top metal garbage dispenser. C, dragging things in the cement area in the back during the closing hour. D, uncovering the top of garbage dispenser with waste in it. E, loitering at the entrance of the driveway by the restaurant people and patrons. 2, dumping drainage from the cement area outside of the kitchen in the back to the driveway. Dirty water goes all the way down to the parking lot where my car is located. 2, someone vomit on the edge of the driveway facing my bedroom. 4, patrons go all the way back to the private parking area and urinate. Proposals. 1, some kind of restriction is incorporated so the kitchen door and windows are closed early and patrons do not loiter around the entrance of the driveway and their people stop slamming. Also, replacing the metal garbage dispenser with the plastic will help. 2, the uses of the driveway should only be for trash removal. That's what the building owner of the apartment allowed the restaurant to use. This will reduce the frequency of using the side gate and so the slamming the wood gate. Just one more sentence. After all, I just want to stop nuisance so that I can live quietly and peacefully in this neighborhood. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Ms. Chang. Yes, Mr.
Going to go to my office at City Hall at 480.
Okay.
So someone
Thank-
could assist
Ms.
that.
Chang, if you can hear us there, we'd like you to go to Mr. Labange's office, room 480, up on the 4th floor, and provide them with your information. Thank you. Richard Robinson, our next speaker. Mr. Robinson. I don't see Mr. Robinson. Charles Griffin.
Madam President, my name is Charles Griffin. I'm from Newport Beach in Orange County. I was born at 3rd and Grand 78 years ago. I've been in Orange County since I was married on Balboa Island, and now preside in the East Bluff. And yesterday morning had a glorious morning outlook, and I can look from my bedroom and see Catalina and Palos Verdes and the City Hall and Mount Wilson and Mount Baldy. This morning it was covered with brown haze. I had to come to the City Hall to see if my hometown was still here. And whereas AB 32 legislation requires a drastic reduction in the production of carbon dioxide in California by planes, trains, automobiles, and electrical power plants and industry, and whereas therefore it is not appropriate to expand the production of carbon dioxide by expanding Los Angeles International, and you should move the airplane operations to Palmdale. And therefore, the future interstate, transcontinental, and international travel market should be funded by $5 billion for 100 miles of 2 elevated, high-speed, 300-mile-per-hour nonstop express, high-occupancy vehicle lanes on the I-5 freeway from the 125 acres owned by the Orange County and Orange County Transportation Association contiguous to the railroad tracks at the closed Del Toro Marine Corps Station in the city of Irvine to State Road 14 and on to the Palmdale Airport. These special magnetic levitation high-occupancy vehicle lanes that are defined in the Southern California Association of Governments 2004 Regional Transportation Plan would also accommodate entrance and exit ramps for express and local commuter maglev airline vehicles and air cargo vehicles serving other population centers like Anaheim and Los Angeles Union Station, located along the essentially straight route, backbone of this contaminated Southern California air basin. Only these sections of the high vehicle lanes are powered and are directly under the maglev vehicles, all sections being controlled electronically by the Central Air Traffic Control Facility and funded by the Federal Aviation Agency. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming from Newport Beach. I do see 2 other individuals in the audience there. We do not have any additional cards, so if you are interested in speaking, please provide them to the clerk that is there. We do have several speaker cards here today, colleagues, and so I'd ask those of you, if you can be as brief as possible. We will give each 2 minutes at this time. If we begin to find that we have any quorum challenges, we'll give 1 minute. But I'd like to now call on Duke Russell, followed by Chuck Tenon.
President Gruhl, members of the City Council, good morning. My name is Duke Russell. I'm an alumnus of Hollywood High and Los Angeles City College, as is actor Clint Eastwood and other thousands. I know education is not your responsibility, but during the past years I have spoken over 40 times to the District Board of Trustees regarding what has happened at LACC, but to no avail. So many believe we need new trustees who will tell presidents who they hire what to do when serious things happen to students. We're all very fortunate to have 4 dedicated men running for trustees. I trust Guy Motto, Joseph Essever, Roy Burns, and Guy Gruhl to become great trustees, which thousands of LAUSD graduates want, need, and deserve. I would like all of you to vote for them, and I would like you to tell your constituents to vote for them. They believe, as I do, that sports and PE classes must be protected and increased in the community colleges. The LAUSD does the city a great service by providing many sports for girls and boys, which inspire them to stay in school and graduate. Football is but one example. Why no football for 20 years at Los Angeles City College, where Council members Tom Labange and Parks played. 6 LACs provide football. Money is no problem. During the past 8 years, a huge non-education golf driving range was built at LACC. Beautiful 75-year-old Snyder Field for football, soccer, softball, and track and field was destroyed in 2004 for a parking lot, and future buildings, for future buildings also, which obviously should replace the golf range. The 21-row stadium was destroyed in 2005, and in 2006, the Art Deco men's basketball gym was destroyed. Barack Obama said on Meet the Press, he is very worried about young people standing on corners with nothing to do. We know sports will help many of them, and so does he.
Mr. Russell, if I could ask you to conclude.
May I finish, please? Please. This is so serious. Al Gore at the Academy Awards said, we must save the environment. But Snyder Field and the environment were destroyed in 2004.
Mr. Russell,
that field needs to be rebuilt.
Mr. Russell, we do have to stick to the 2 minutes because we do have several. So
Understand.
thank you very
Thank
much
you
for
for
being
listening.
here. Thank
Please.
you. Mr. Tenon.
Good morning, council members, Madam President, Chuck Tinnen. With regard to the 9 and 17 relocation ordinance, Herb, with all due respect, I'd like to know why an amendment was unexpectedly presented at the Plum Committee last Tuesday, and the public was not allowed to look at your proposed amendment. I'm not a politician, but an affected tenant like many. I was under the impression that on a public hearing agenda item, that the public was allowed to comment and give their input in a city government decision-making process that affects all our lives. At the previous Plum Committee, everyone thought the 9 and 17 was a matter of numbers, and an ordinance was going to be drawn up and voted at the next Plum Committee. What happened? Why the change? Such an important, critical issue that took 10 months to get this far that will affect our tenants in the city of Los Angeles with regard to Ellis Act, tenants' right and protection, and 1.5 months at the Planning Commission. Perhaps the city attorney would accommodate us, the affected tenants, by giving us justification on why a new amendment that was surprisingly put forth at the Plum last week after public comments were made on the original ordinance, of which 60 cards, people that did not get an opportunity, including myself, because the committee was an hour late in getting started, and 2 weeks in a row, a lot of cards were not put there. Herb and Ed, we would appreciate it if you would be kind enough to explain to us the sudden action and enlighten us in justifying the reasoning so that tenants and developers alike can feel like they are included in the city government decision-making process that affects all of us and that we clearly understand it. Is this how our city government does business and passes things? The cost of doing business and the cost of living should include the public's input in the decision-making process. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tennant. Michael Calder?
Good morning. Mike Calder. Last November, over the BBC, there was 12 minutes of a new documentary on the Robert Kennedy assassination. The filmmaker Shane O'Sullivan has film of CIA agents in the embassy room of the Ambassador Hotel just prior to Kennedy's last speech. They're there in the aftermath of the shooting as well. What concerned me was this was not covered by the U.S. media. ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, they did not cover the story, nor did the New York Times or LA Times. So I'm asking the City Council if you would contact the general managers of the local TV stations, as well as the editor of the LA Times, and just ask them to cover the story. You might ask them why they didn't cover it in the first place. Second point, though, is if CIA agents are in front of Kennedy while he's giving his last speech, are there other CIA agents in the pantry waiting for him? And if the CIA killed Bobby, like they did John, that may mean that Sirhan Sirhan was falsely convicted for the assassination and has spent his entire life in prison. He still has no memory of how he even got in the pantry, and he has no memory of shooting Bob. May I give all the information you need to the Sergeant at Arms?
That would be great. Thank you very much. We'll
All
make
right,
sure
thank
CLA distributes that. Thank you. Our next speaker is Hayward, Nishikawa, or Nishikawa? Hayward. I said Hayward. Coach Hayward.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak before you. I'm here because Duke Russell asked me to come up here, and I'm the department chair at Los Angeles City College for Physical Education. And I thought I should do that because if he's coming up here and he's just a citizen, it's my responsibility to come up here and to speak on these issues. About 5 or 6 years ago, a bond issue was passed for $2.25 billion, and it was given to build or rebuild old buildings at Los Angeles City College. Well, to tell you the truth, nothing has been done except for a couple of parking lots, one of which was paved over for 3 times. At one of them, at the last one, cost $400,000 to do or redo. And our college was allocated $248 million to build a new gym, of which we have nothing built above 6 inches at City College as of yet. So we're hoping that you can use your influence, and if you have an opportunity to talk to other people to get something built above ground. I was asked the other day by a new incoming student. He said, Mr. Nishioka, do you have a pool here? I said, yes, we have a pool. It was built in the 1930s. It's around the corner. You can't see it because there's buildings around. He said, do you have a track? I said, no, we don't have a track because we have a parking lot on it. He said, do you have a field for soccer? I said, no. What about football? No. What about volleyball courts? No, they broke all of that down, and we're planning on building it in about 2 or 3 years. It should be built. He said, that's not going to help me. I don't know that I'm going to come to your college. So we need to do something about the situation here because it has been about 6 years since that bond issue passed, and they're going to pass another one for an added amount, and I don't know that I can vote for it even if I'm working at City College.
Thank you. Thank you.
Coach, let us know when you're having that meeting at the board so I could go with you and help fight for City College. Thank you, Coach.
Councilman LaBonge, thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Catherine Garcia, followed by David Honda.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning. I'm here representing San Fernando Valley Fair, and other than the known factors for moving the fair to Woodley Park, as CEO of the fair, I find that a good amount of my time is spent reminding adults what the fair experience is. An annual fair is a childhood experience. I've never met one adult that, when reminded, can't recall or trace some of their memories back to their annual fair. Speaking for myself, I have 3 daughters, 2 of which are grown. Every February, they plan for and attend their annual fair, which is in the Coachella Valley, where they grew up. I often wonder why adults would travel 3 hours, stay in a hotel to attend a fair. Why? Because the fair is dear to them. It is a part of their childhood. They danced on the community stage. I, as a mother, videotaped their performances. And of course, they were the best. They stood out. I loved it. In this room today are many supporters of this fair who have that same experience. They've experienced it. They want to give it to their children. They want to expand it to other children. Fairs have not changed, but times have. I understand we have gangs, we have drugs, we have a much greater degree and concern for safety. The San Fernando Valley Fair for 2006, based on the state safety report, is impeccable. It was 100% and rated outstanding. We do not take chances. We have asked to move to Woodley Park and for a partial or full street closure because we want to protect the kids and the citizens. We do not take chances. This year, the fair is pleased to offer an extended community outreach to 120 new schools in the Woodley Park area and surrounding. They will be invited free of charge to a school tours day at which they get the full fair experience. In addition to that, we have Ag Day LA, which is a state-sanctioned event given by the state to educate children on agriculture. Contrary to what they believe, it's not out of the grocery store.
Catherine, your 2 minutes has gone up. I think if Mr. Honda could complete, we have to give each individual the 2 minutes.
I can't close.
Well, if you have one more sentence, what we have allowed is for people to give their last remarks,
Okay.
but
I am asking you to reconsider your decision to allow us at Woodley Park to extend our outreach for the fair. Thank you very much.
thank you. Mr. Honda.
Good morning, Madam Chairman, Honorable Councilman. My name is David Honda, and I'm speaking with a cold. I'm the current chairman of the 51st District Agriculture Association of the State of California. Our mission is to produce the historic San Fernando Valley Fair. This year will mark our 61st, if we're granted the opportunity at Woodley Park. We come before you to plead our case. The 51st District Agriculture Association entered into a good faith contract on or about December 2006 with the City of Los Angeles Rec and Parks to produce the annual fair at a centrally located venue, the heart of the San Fernando Valley, the Sepulveda Basin. It was just recently, February 21st and 27th, that we received correspondence from the City Rec and Parks Council District 6 that our contract has been amended unilaterally without consent with deal points that are unacceptable as a state fair, and suggested that we return to Handsome Dam, our previous venue, which we were unsuccessful in raising the paid gate attendance. We have reached out to the entire community, but our attendance has not returned since the days of Burbank and our original start at Devonshire Downs. Most people in the valley, especially myself, remember the days of horse, pig racing, dusty roads, hot dogs and beer, cotton candy, snow cones, and the arts and crafts. The San Fernando Valley Fair was an agricultural community in those days. We only have memories of what was yesterday as kids, and today as senior citizens. It's still a memory. My hope is today is to have you go back and reflect on those days and give compassion to what we are envisioning for the future children to remember: hot dogs, snow cones, cotton candy, tigers, sea otters, and entertainment of yesteryears. Last year, we headlined the Coasters, Platters, and Drifters. The year before, Gary Lewis and the Playboys wore Tierra. Do you remember those days? I know I do. Our dream is to have our children and grandchildren remember today's fair, a great fair called the San Fernando Valley Fair. Don't let this dream fail the children. Please reconsider the amendments and allow us to do what we're charged to do, and that is to produce the historic 61st San Fernando Valley Fair, June 7th to 10th at Woodley Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Honda. Our next speaker is Ron Berkowitz from the Recreation and Parks Department. As many of you know, this item is not before us on the agenda today. There's no action that we can take because of the Brown Act, and so I think Department wanted to speak in public comment. Again, we still have other public comment cards as well. Mr. Berkowitz.
Madam President, council members, I'm Ron Berkowitz, Recreation and Parks, Park Superintendent. I just wanted to give you a quick overview of our process. We did sign, I signed a letter of an intent to proceed with a process to look into the feasibility of Woodley Park to possibly increase the attendance of the Valley Fair. We believe in the Valley Fair, as does CD6 and all the members of the community. Upon our review, we found that the Woodley Park could not accommodate the fair for several reasons. Some of the reasons were the water hookups were not, for the animals, we didn't have enough hookups, electrical hookups, space, and we had a lot of turf areas. Closing Woodley or even a partial closure would impact safety issues. I dealt with Department of Transportation, and one of the main issues, the reason that I called the Valley Fair several times to come to the table to meet with Recreation and Parks, they ignored my phone calls. I have documentation of all the emails I sent them. The idea of the letter of intent that we have, along with Hanson Dam, was the idea to negotiate terms of the agreement, such as rates and fees, what they were going to do, if they needed an alcohol permit. This has been going on for years. We welcome the Valley Fair. We will be able to accommodate the Valley Fair at Hanson Dam the same as last year. We will be able to accommodate the community. We just need to get to the table to resolve this. I've tried since January to talk to their chairman, talk to somebody from the Valley Fair. I've done my best. The only reason I made a phone call, and I don't do business like that, is to try to communicate with the Valley Fair. And that's why I'm here today, to resolve the issue. I can accommodate them as quickly as possible at Hanson Dam, and I will commit to do that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Zumadog.
Thank you, Wendy. I go to so much trouble to get here. I was the first person. I was here so early, there wasn't one person here yet, so thank you for calling me up.
I apologize. It's just handed to me in a stack, so.
Okay, I appreciate that. So, first of all, I went to the SCAG meeting yesterday because, in case you haven't heard, Southern California Association of Governments, they hand out money regionally, and we have 15 positions. Only 3 people showed up again yesterday. Thank you, Councilmember Parks, Zine, and Smith for showing up. So what's happening is we're getting outvoted for state and federal money by Mayberry and unincorporated cities. We're getting our butt kicked. It's real humiliating. And then we need some 405 money. The mayor's got to go out, sit there and stand out in the street and panhandle for 405 money. Show up in SCAG and vote for it, y'all. That's the way to do it, y'all. Don't let Barney Fife beat us in the federal and state money. Now, the other thing that's very important is we have elections coming up this week, next week on Tuesday. I'd like to urge everybody, please make sure you vote. Please get out there. Even, Dion, you let that guy talk about the LAUSD other election things, but you won't let me. But I'm not going to say who to vote for. Just please vote. We got LAUSD elections. We got council member elections. If you want to find out about the council members running in CD14, tonight, Zumadog, Voice of the Pueblo, hosts on Time Warner, public access, 7 p.m., the CD14 Candidate Forum. We have both candidates that will be participating, Parra and Jimenez, and that'll be good. And also, density. You want to have the Olympics here. I was on Doug McIntyre today. I said, sorry, you can't have the Olympics. There's not enough infrastructure. It's not like 25 years ago. Please don't do this to the city. The highways can't accommodate the side streets. We don't have police to run one day of the city here without Olympics. What's going to happen when we don't have enough, when we got Olympics? Officer Landry's retiring. That's going to be one less police. We can't hire enough new cops. That's a real problem. And density. No more high density. The streets, the freeways, the schools, the trash, the fire cannot accommodate. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen Leffert, followed by Linda Pruitt.
Good morning, Ms. Gruhl and council members. I'm here, I am a member of the West Van Nuys Lake Balboa Neighborhood Council Board. I am not speaking as a board member, but as an individual who lives in the area near the Sepulveda Dam Basin. I have a lot of concerns about the issue of that we originally saw of the San Fernando Valley Fair going into the Sepulveda Dam Basin. A couple of things really struck me hard. Street closure, and it was even mentioned this morning, possible street closure, and I think that's still on their table. It's terrible traffic situation in the area every morning and every evening, with Woodley Avenue open to take some of the load off of Victory and Burbank Boulevard, you know, and Victory and the other streets running east and west. People can get down to Burbank Boulevard or up from it. I'm really concerned about them closing it during the week for many days. The only other festival that has ever gone on in the park that they've closed Woodley Avenue for, if I remember, is an Israeli festival, which is on a Sunday, one day only. I have concerns about the parking issue, whether or not they're charging for parking, because that was an issue with previous festivals where the people who just wanted to use the park and not attend any particular thing going on there would be able to park for free as they normally do. I'm concerned about the use of alcohol in the park. If this is a family thing and we're concerned about safety, as was mentioned here already, we don't need people getting drunk on beer or wine. And I believe that, you know, regulations in the city is that no drinking in the parks. And I think that needs to be enforced. There's concern about the hours and reference to using the Orange Line to get in and out to the fair, but the Orange Line shuts down before the you know, midnight hour. So I don't know about people being able to use the Orange Line and go to see the entertainment late in the evening.
Thank you very much. Linda Pruitt, followed by Rosie Sines and Chris Olenkamp.
Good morning, President Gruhl and council members, and I want to thank you all for being here again. We really appreciate your coming out to the Valley. And yes, I too am here speaking as an individual citizen, even though I am president of the West Van Nuys Lake Balboa Neighborhood Council. I do have concerns about the Valley Fair. While I support the idea of a San Fernando Valley Fair and have been to it numerous times myself, I really question the Woodley Park venue as a place to hold it. I am very concerned about the number and size of people that are going to be there for several days. I don't think there's ever been anything quite that large at Woodley Park. And even with much smaller events there, we have great disruption of our neighborhood, and this does concern me. I, too, like Mr. Leffert, am concerned about alcohol and people leaving the park in the evenings, being dumped out onto residential streets in the area, having consumed beer and wine. This is a residential area that borders that park, and I am very concerned about that. The noise, of course, is a consideration in a residential area. We're concerned about that. And again, the closing of Woodley Avenue for even one day during the week is just a nightmare to even think about. I do hope you will consider this when you make your final decision on this Valley Fair. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Rosie, followed by Chris, followed by Melrose Larry Green. And again, as I indicated, we do have several public comment cards, so if you, things have been said, if you, again, brevity would be welcomed. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Rosie Sines. I'm a West Van Nuys Lake Balboa resident. I am here this morning to share my concerns, which are based on comments that had been made at our last West Van Nuys Lake Balboa Neighborhood Council meeting. These are my concerns. The entertainment till very late is going to really affect our neighborhood. We've had complaints from other events that have been held there, so that's just not acceptable. Serving alcohol, not acceptable, not in our neighborhood. We don't want it there. And especially with gang problems, we definitely don't want it there. The closing of Woodley, which is going to cause traffic overflow on the other streets, and if they close it down on Thursday and Friday, it's already a mess. The traffic is already a mess there. For those of us that have to go to work, I don't even want to think about it. The park is going to be trashed out, so who's going to be cleaning up the mess? That's what I want to know. And what effects is this going to have on our wildlife there? That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Chris Ohlenkamp.
Good morning. My name is Chris Ohlenkamp. I'm president of the San Fernando Valley Audubon Society, and we have significant concerns about this project or proposal. We are opposed to the proposal. We have over 2,000 members in the San Fernando Valley, and we're concerned about the wildlife impacts of this project being a multi-day event where it'll be there will be lighting and there will be noise for the generators for the light and security lighting 24 hours, as well as the noise and impacts from the speakers, amplified music. It seems to me that the agricultural fair has changed over time. It is no longer an agricultural fair, and they're turning it into a rock concert in order to get the attendance, and that's what they've shown, that attendance is the problem, and they're trying whatever they can do to get the attendance. The Sepulveda Basin Wildlife Area is immediately adjacent to where they're proposing to hold this event. We have seen over 230 different species of birds in that area, and there are several threatened and endangered and sensitive species in that area which are just now getting introduced. In the last year, there have been 2 sensitive species which are breeding right along Woodley Avenue during the summertime when this event will be held. It's difficult to address the impacts on a specific basis because the conditions and the proposals have changed, not entirely due to the proponents, but also due to Rec and Parks, which we have problems communicating with as well. But we know that the impacts will be significant, primarily because it's a multi-day event and it's just too large of an event for this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Melrose Larry Green, followed by Shelby Hawks, followed by Francine Marcile.
Good morning. Thank you, President Gruhl. I just got a couple of minutes here, so I'll be very, very brief. It's a very busy time of the year for all of us. And the reason why I'm here this morning is I want to talk about my friend Abel, who works at a club in West Hollywood that I work at. It's a comedy club. Abel cleans the bathrooms there. He mops the floors. He busses the tables. He is an illegal immigrant. I think it is absurd that so many hardworking people are in this city who are working in hotels, in bars and restaurants, and they're not protected by the LA City Council, by the U.S. Congress, by the state legislature. And the whole country is watching the LA City Council. The elephant in the room is illegal immigration in this country. And 99.9% of these people are not criminals, they're not gang members, they're not bad people. And I'm calling this morning on March 2nd, 2007, on the LA City Council to pass some sort of a resolution facilitating the road to citizenship. Not consular cards, not green cards, not visas, not residency cards, but citizenships for people like my friend Abel. And Ed and Tony, I'm talking to you right now. Hombre hasta hombre, yo puedo hablar en español también, soy gringo. But Bill also, I did your TV show too many years ago, and I ran for mayor in 1993. And I'd like to bring Abel down here one day to meet you, and maybe you can all help him get on the road to citizenship. I only got a few seconds left, but that's my words about Abel. We know the election is Tuesday. I've watched all your commercials on TV and announcements, and, you know, there are a lot of good people running, and I think we all know it's a foregone conclusion who's going to win. But the people running against Tony and the other seat are good people, too, and everybody should vote. I'm going to run the marathon on Sunday, but not the whole race. I'm going to run the first 6 miles through Hollywood, then jump on the subway and run into Boyle Heights and do some campaigning for Jose Huizar. I got to get back to work. I'm an accountant, too. This is tax season. Good luck, everybody. Thank you. I am Melrose Larry Green.
Shelby Hawks. And Francine.
Thank you, City Council, for letting me speak. I'm here today to express my feelings, how important the fair is to me and my family. The fair helps me further my education in the animal sciences. I'm a student at Sepulveda Junior High Gifted Magnet, and the sciences are my passions. Last year was my first year competing in the fair, and I was able to see my hard work have meaning. I showed my rabbits and won the ribbons and belt buckle. I was proud of it because I was able to become more aware of my love for animals. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. And are you Shelby or Marcel?
This is Shelby.
That's Shelby. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll take this back. You can take that back. The rabbit's name is Cutie, and she's an award-winning rabbit.
And are you Marcel?
I am Francine Marseille,
okay.
and I want to thank the City Council for allowing me to speak today. I am a parent and a member of our community, a homeowner, and a supporter of the San Fernando Valley Fair. As a parent, the fair stands for accountability, responsibility, and even compassion, that life lessons that are afforded our children at the fair by their participation is priceless, and it's something you just can't replace. The fair provides a lot of family time in our community, and it is a good family environment. It brings community awareness and financial support to our community as well. Moving our fair into the community in which I own a home has greater visibility in an area where families can bring their children to more pure aspects of life and living in the city, educational opportunities, and even a little fun and music. It can be easily accessed at Woodley Park, and it allows more to participate in a wonderful event that has always proven responsible and respectful in the past. As a San Fernando Valley Fair supporter, I volunteer my time, and I go out to our community businesses asking them for help to volunteer their time and provide sponsorship funds so that our children can maintain their positions within the fair. All I'm asking is for you to please award our children the opportunity to show more community members, teach other children their age what it's all about to be in a pure environment, and help us keep it at Woodley Park where it can be successful. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeanette Turner, followed by Rosemary White. Jeanette Turner.
Thank you for letting me speak today. My parents moved here from Cleveland in 1956, and my dad was hired at Rocketdyne, and my parents bought a house in Woodland Hills, and that's where I grew up. And I'm here to tell you that so many lives are being affected in a terrible way every day. I live on what used to be a very quiet hilltop cul-de-sac in Woodland Hills against the Santa Monica mountain range. The house next door at 20900 Bandera Street recently sold, and from the day she moved in, the new owner began shooting pornographic films and still shots. Her name is Amanda Boisvert, or Amanda McGuire, and the filming has gone on constantly ever since. My neighbors and I are offended and very frustrated. Ms. Boisvert has been a nuisance from the very beginning and has interfered with the quietness of the neighborhood. We are all feeling the stress. Every day my neighbors and I have to deal with all the cars being crammed together and illegally parked on our street, and the parade of characters moving equipment in and out of the house, hanging around, and leaving their trash on our street. I can see cameras flashing and people adjusting lights and other equipment from my kitchen window. I saw and heard, along with several vice officers, Ms. Boisvert perform sex with a man. I constantly witnessed people doing drugs on the balconies. I used to look out at the beautiful mountains, and now looking out of my kitchen window is like watching a porn movie, and I'm sick of it. I, along with my neighbors, made phone calls and sent emails to Mr. Rios. We talked to Mr. Rios at Councilman Zine's office, and he's told us there's nothing he can do about it. And I'm asking you to please, the vice officers from the West San Fernando Valley made 2 separate arrests at this woman's house.
Okay, thank you. And I know Mr. Zine just wanted to comment real quickly, and since it is in his district.
Thank you. Mr. Perry is going to be getting the information from you. We've had that situation take place in other parts of Tarzana and Woodland Hills. And we have, well, it's not everywhere in the valley. There's certain areas, if you'd like me to respond, I'll respond to your statement. We have areas within this city, in this valley, where that activity takes place. And we've worked with the LAPD vice operation, and we've worked with the neighborhood councils, and we've worked to shut them down through Film LA. And Mr. Perry's going to get the information from you. I will be dealing with Mr. Rios and Film LA to make sure this matter is addressed, also with the police department. There's no way that any neighborhood should be subjected to this. And if it's happening to the degree that you are commenting on, I can assure you that that activity will cease, and if arrests need to be made, that will take place. Mr. Perry's going to get all the information from you, but we will definitely follow up on it today. I thank you for being here.
Rosemary White, followed by Elise Wells, followed by Richard Hawks.
Good morning, City Council members. My name is Dr. Rosemary White. I have an office at 16255 Ventura Boulevard in Encino, and I'm the elected representative of the Encino Neighborhood Council, representing parks, open space, and recreation. I wish to comment on the request of the San Fernando Valley Fair to hold their event in the park areas of the Sepulveda Basin this summer. I am opposed to the Valley request to have a 4-day event in the basin. Additionally, the request to sell alcoholic beverages and remain partying until 12 a.m. as requested is not appropriate for this location and goes against the rules of this family park, as has been the attitude of the prior people that have commented. Further, as the chair of the Sierra Club Wildlife and Endangered Species Committee, the anticipated location of a 4-day event located close to the only designated wildlife area in the city of Los Angeles is not correct, and it is not fair. We have migrating birds such as Canada geese and Ross's geese and other species residing in the area now, as Chris Olenkamp has mentioned. No one is against a fair. As a matter of fact, I will share with you and the people from the fair. I come from a circus family. I was born and raised. As my mother was about to give birth, she got off the show train and went to the hospital, and I was born on the Sioux Indian Reservation in Ontario. And then they got back on the show train and went across Canada. And my entire childhood was on the show and the circus. We did not have alcoholic beverages. We did not have wild animals. So I also have memories of hot dogs and popcorn and so forth. But in this particular case, it is not appropriate. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. The next speaker, Ms. Wells.
Hello and good morning. My name is Elise Wells, and I am a member of the Canoga Park FFA. I would just like to comment on the San Fernando Valley Fair and talk about the benefits of having the fair and showing an animal at the fair. Last year I showed a meat pen, which is a meat pen of rabbits, and since I live in an urban setting, I have no other way to deal with animals, to get the experience, to have this experience, to have the ability to show animals. Also, I want to go into the veterinary industry, and without this experience, I would not be able to go in because I just don't have enough experience being in an urban setting. It also teaches us responsibility to care for an animal, to how to budget our time better, to take care of something. The animal depends on you. We also make money from the fair for our college. A lot of us don't have the money for college, and this way we make the money. It's a great experience just in general. A lot of our kids talk about it all year long, trying to go to the fair, and they just can't wait for it next year. And a lot of us, this is just our passion to work with the animals, and I would hate to see it not be able to happen this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard Hawks, followed by Art Hansen, followed by Steve Finley.
Hi, my name is Richard Hawks, and I am a student at Canoga Park High School and a part of the Canoga Park FFA. And I'd like to comment on the fair because it's a big learning experience for all the students at our school. We show animals and really compete against each other to be the best that we can be, and it really gives us a lot of opportunities to really become better at what we do, and it really expresses our passion for the animals and how we care for them, and we learn so many new techniques on how to really care for them properly and all the medicines that we need to give for them for when they're sick, and it really opens up a lot of agricultural doors to colleges, and a lot of opportunities just arise when we go to fairs like this because it's just so helpful for the students. And this year would be my last year there showing, but I would like it to be a memorable one where I can show and really have a great time in my community, where I can really help the other people there see the love for agriculture and my passion for animals. So thank you for letting me talk, and have a nice day.
Thank you. Art Hansen, followed by Steve Finley.
Madam President, members of the council, my name is Art Hansen. I live in West Hills. Following these kids is a hard act to follow, but I'm on the same page with them in terms of the San Fernando Valley Fair. I'm retired LAUSD many years ago, but I'm still involved with the San Fernando Valley Fair and the Livestock Committee. Earlier this week, I learned about the problem and the roadblocks that were set up for the fair moving to Woodley Park. I'm very concerned about it because I know what these kids do. They invest money in their animals. You saw a rabbit today, but that's probably better than bringing in a 900-pound steer or some pigs or sheep, which kids have much more money invested in. I guess my bottom line is this to you, the council. What are these kids to do with their livestock in which they have monetary investments if there is no fair and junior livestock show and auction? So that's my question to you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Finley, followed by Miriam Fogler.
Good morning, council members. My name is Steve Finley, and I am a recreation director for the city of Los Angeles. And I'm here because Duke Russell also asked me to come and speak regarding the Junior College Board of Trustees election on Tuesday. I have a son. Well, first of all, I was born here in Los Angeles in the Crenshaw District. I graduated from UCLA, and I'm also a Vietnam veteran. And I have a son that is attending junior college right now. He was an all-city baseball player at Los Angeles High School last year, and there was no place for him to go to play baseball in Los Angeles. So he is now at Glendale College, Trade Tech, Santa Monica, West LA, and also Southwest College do not have baseball teams. And I live 5 minutes from West LA, and I have to send my son to Glendale. So what I'm saying is that we need new leadership from the Board of Trustees, for the community colleges. We need new leadership. I've been working with kids for over 30 years, and when kids come to me and say, in the city, when they come to me and say, I want to play sports and go to school, where can I go, coach? And my answer is, you're going to have a hard time getting where you have to go, because you have to go out of the city just to play sports and go to school. There's an article in the LA Times today regarding this election on Tuesday with the Community College Board of Trustees. And basically, statewide, the dropout rate in the community colleges is 76%.
Thank you very much. Okay. Appreciate it. Ms. Fogler, Miriam Fogler.
It's getting to the afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, the City Council, and I hope the county supervisors, everybody hear this. But I used to go to the fair when I was a kid, Devonshire Downs, and if they can do certain things, both of the parties can come to an understanding so that we can continue having the fair here in the valley. I grew up here, lived here, and everything. I used to go here to the courthouse, everything on my bike when I was a kid, everything. So a lot of things are happening. So, you know, one thing that did surprise me, though, you guys, ladies and gentlemen, surprised the people. It surprised me that you would try to extend the term limit and you got it through. I'm hoping that will be repealed. I don't know, even though I know what Tony's feeling about that, but anyway, what else I want to say is that I don't like the way the salaries are going for the city council people either, or the county, or for that matter, the LAUSD. So the term limits have to be 2 terms, and also the salaries need to be adjusted and need to be fairly done here, because $20,000 a year is way too much compared to other people who like Department of Water and Power got the best raise, and yet you don't give anything to the city workers and the police department. Our cops, what's wrong? We're losing police, and we're going to lose fine people in the engineering department, the 501, and other people in the unions here. We need to pay these people very good wages so we can have our city have a good structure so that we can meet the needs of tomorrow for the people coming here to live here and work here and play. We need to make sure that our structures are done very carefully and evaluated very carefully, how we build the homes, the houses, the buildings, so that we can make sure that they're safe, that people can get out safely in case of an earthquake, and not having them real high sky risers, like, you know, taking money from the taxpayers, using tax increment money. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dennis DeYoung.
Good morning, and thank you for coming out to the San Fernando Valley. My name is Dennis DeYoung. I'm a resident in Northridge, California, and I'm a former board member of the Northridge West Neighborhood Council. But I'm here today as a member of the board of the 51st District Agricultural Association, which is the state agency that's tasked with putting on the San Fernando Valley Fair. And my comments are limited to, we're meeting soon after this meeting, and our options are pretty limited. I can tell you that the sentiment from the board is not to go back to Handsome Dam. We've had a real bad experience there, and what Mr. Brookwitz failed to mention was that last year they took away the parking lot for public parking. And so they've rented to Valley Crest Tree Service. So we basically are unable to have parking at the Handsome Dam site. Plus a bunch of other reasons we really are not going to return to Handsome Dam. I think our options are pretty much limited to canceling the fair outright, which would be a travesty for the San Fernando Valley Fair, or relocating to Santa Clarita Valley or Castaic, which could be an option, and I'm not sure if we would return. And just a little bit of history about me. My dad was in the North Hollywood FFA. My mom was in Encino 4-H. They met at the San Fernando Valley Fair back in the 1950s. I met my wife when I was 12 back at the San Fernando Valley Fair. I have a lot vested in the fair, and it's been a great experience for people, you know, the public, and if you can just think about this, if the Pomona City Council told the LA County Fair that they had to close every night at 6 o'clock, do you think that would really work for the LA County Fair? It's the same kind of restrictions that we're getting from the Council District 12 or 6. So anyways, upshot of it is I really hope that we can have a fair this year. I would hate to have to be on the board during a term or a period where we have to cancel the fair. It would be a great loss to the city of Los Angeles and the San Fernando Valley. And so I just appreciate your support. And I know you can't vote on anything, but thank you for your time.
Thank you. Glenn Bailey, followed by Sharon Brewer, followed by Brendan Huffman. And Glenn, I did follow up, sent an email after I saw you outside about bicycle racks.
Thank you. My name is Glenn Bailey. I'm a lifelong Valley resident. I also am a board member of the Encino Neighborhood Council and one of the 8 group representatives on the Sepulveda Basin Wildlife Area Steering Committee. I've had almost 30-year track record with regards to concerns about the Sepulveda Basin, going back to the days when the Hollywood Park Racetrack wanted to move lock, stock, and barrel into the Sepulveda Basin. So I am definitely an advocate for the Sepulveda Basin. But what we have here, I'm also a fan of the San Fernando Valley Fair, having attended it back in the days when it was at Devonshire Downs, and I remember when we had to fight in Sacramento to get the fair back, and I'm here today because I don't want to see a lapse in the fair again. And I also think that there has been a great unfairness to the fair and to the people associated with and the people of the Valley in Los Angeles based on what has happened in this situation. I have in front of me, and I have faxed to several of the Valley Council offices, the agreement signed by Recreation and Parks and the fair that is dated December 5th. And the first sentence says that the association, the Fair Association, and the Department of Recreation and Parks is hereby granted permission. The fair is hereby granted permission by the Recreation and Parks to use Woodley Park, areas 1 and 2, for the San Fernando Valley Fair, period. That's the agreement. It's signed. This was December 5th. Over 2 months later, not until over 2 months later, did the department send a communication saying, no, it's going to be in Handsome Dam. This is absolutely wrong. I can tell you at the fair board meeting I attended on Wednesday that the fair said they could live with 1 lane on Woodley to closure. There's 3 lanes each way, plus closing at 10 p.m. on the Friday and Saturday nights. I think they've been a good group to be open, unlike some of the other special interest events in the basin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bailey. Sharon Brewer, followed by Brendan Huffman.
Hi, Sharon Brewer. First, I want to address the Persian New Year event that's scheduled for April 1st, that as of February 28th, I have received no information about this event, and it's less than 1 month away. So since Rec and Parks is here, I would hope that they would be able to provide the public with the information regarding this event. San Fernando Valley Fair. This is a council file that Rec and Parks and everybody had access to, and states what the times have been for the fair last year, what's required of them. The letter that Recreation and Parks went and sent to the Fair Board is kind of laughable because they knew about what the fair requires way before they even started looking into having the fair at at Woodley Park. Regarding some of the questions, the Irish Fair had alcohol, beer and wine, no problem, so they've allowed it before. When it comes to the street closures, the Israeli festival, one day they trashed the park and they trashed the street. The West Van Nuys Lake Balboa Neighborhood Council has known about this event since last year. In fact, Mr. Honda ended up coming to a meeting, and they did not go and express any kind of concern about it. The thing that bothers me about CD6 letter, the submission, a plan on how fair organizers will provide for free entrance and free ride tickets to area low-income children and their families. I would like to know whether or not this same request has been made of the Israeli festival and also the Persian New Year event. Basically, there's selective enforcement of rules and what people can and can't do. This event already has a signed permit, but yet the Persian New Year event that is April 1st has no signed event.
Thank you, Ms. Brewer. Mr. Huffman, followed by Cheryl Burns, followed by Pamela Karate.
Morning, council members. Brendan Huffman with the Valley Industry and Commerce Association. I just want to make two quick comments about the LA River Revitalization Plan. At VICA, we're very excited about thinking big and making a difference to improve the quality of life. I happen to live right by the LA River, and it's, as you know, a flood zone, concrete, not very exciting. At the same time, VICA is also interested in working with you and talking with you about the impact on jobs, particularly as it applies to the industrial zones that border the LA River area. Councilman Reyes is coming out to Sherman Oaks next week to meet with us. We'll start this dialogue, but wanted to make you aware now that we want to find a balance between protecting the jobs we have in the valley as well as beautifying this great resource and treasure in Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheryl Burns, followed by Pamela Karate.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for speaking with or letting us speak today. I'm a member of the Livestock Committee at the San Fernando Valley Fair. My group is the independent group, and we have about 10 kids in our group that already have their baby lambs and steers. There's about 50 kids involved in our livestock group, and it's a great experience. They've already put a lot of time, invested money in their animals, and we just hope that the opposers and the city council will change their minds and let us have the fair at Woodley Park and reconsider their decision. The event, I would just want to make a couple of comments about the concerts and so forth and making it a rock concert. I've been involved in the fair for over 25 years. I raised animals at the fair when I was a kid as well, and now my kids are involved. But we had huge concerts, and it was a great deal. Families coming out, looking at the animals, going to a concert, eating hot dogs. As far as the alcohol goes, there is a beer garden. We've never had any problems with alcohol problems. People aren't walking around the fair drinking beer and wine. They're in a enclosed area where they can only stay and have their drink there. So I just hope that we could have our fair at Woodley Park, and I would hate to see this tradition, long-time tradition go away. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Pam Craddock, followed by Jamie Cordaro, then Candida Merez.
Hi, I'm here with two hats today. I'm a director on the 51st Ag District, and I'm also the chairman of United Chambers of Commerce in the San Fernando Valley. What has happened with the San Fernando Valley Fair, I think, is just deplorable. It's very sad. I don't know how a Rec and Park can come out with and sign a contract and then renege on it later on. This has happened to the San Fernando Valley Fair before. When this is my second stint as a director. The first time I was a director, I was chairman for a while, and I met with Rec and Park Board and got nowhere. I had to go behind them and go to the commissioners, and we got a place. We are a fair without a home. And Councilman Cardenas, I really wish that you would reconsider. And I know that you want the fair in your district. It's a great, great event. And you've seen these kids that came up in front of you and to plead their case. These kids are raising their animals, and you wonder how they make the money. They make their money by having an auction at the fair. And persons like me can buy those animals and have them butchered. I know that doesn't sound really like the thing to do, but that's what happens in the grocery stores. And that the kids send you thank you letters for buying their animals along with pictures of them. It's a really wonderful, wonderful thing for them to do. And I know it's shocking to some of you, but that's what happens when you go to when you go to the grocery store. You don't realize that that was a cow walking around one day, but it was, and that's what our kids need to see. So we're running out of time, like I'm probably running out of time. We have to make a decision today. We can't go to Hanson Dam. We'll lose vendors. We will also lose attendance. So I just plead with you.
Thank you. Thank Pam. Jamie Cordaro.
Welcome, Madam President, the rest of the City Council to Van Nuys. As President of Van Nuys Neighborhood Council, we always enjoy your meetings here in Van Nuys. But aside that, not being the President, I want to mention, you know, we talk about promoting the Valley, having a vibrant economic stimulus, bringing business to the Valley. We have the opportunity to do a lot of things here. You know, it's a win-win situation when everybody can compromise. You listen to a lot of the people that spoke today. You're breaking a lot of hearts. You're going to force this fair committee to move the fair out of the Valley, out of the city of Los Angeles, and up to Santa Clarita. Now, if that's the way you get your money for tax revenue and promotion, it's not good business. We need to communicate. We need strong leadership in the 6th District. Apparently, we don't have it. Tony is known on the street as Phony Tony. I apologize for that, but it's not my... It's
Mr.
not,
yes, that we do.
I understand. I understand. I'm just telling you. I apologize, but that's what I'm telling you, what's going on. There's the lack of leadership. It's time for real leadership. I'm looking to build the San Fernando Valley with a vision, and I have that vision, and I'm looking for the rest of the City Council to come together and rebuild the Van Nuys area, to have an Old Town Van Nuys from the Orange Line all the way up to Metrolink. It's a beautiful area that can be revitalized. I want to get a trade school here in the Valley. I'm dealing with sending people over the hill to different schools. I'd love to have a trade school in the Valley. We need something here within the San Fernando Valley. Thank you.
Next speaker, yes, Mr. Rice.
Is my microphone on? Madam President, we're 51 minutes over the public comment period for this
Yeah,
meeting.
we have three more speaker cards. Mr. Candido.
Thank you, Madam President. You're always very kind, and it's always very nice to see you there. Welcome, everyone, to the Van Nuys, the heart of the San Fernando Valley, and we thank you for allowing us to speak. That's why you brought the City Council here, because you wanted to hear public comments. So, again, I thank each and every one of you, especially Ms. Hahn and the rest of you that traveled so far to come here. We appreciate the fact that you listen to us. Again, we have many issues in the Van Nuys area and throughout the 6th District. One of the things we're trying to do is rebuild and revitalize Van Nuys Boulevard. Later on, we'll be talking about community development, block grant dollars. We lost the money that used to come to Van Nuys Boulevard, and with that money, we were able to revitalize some of the boulevards. So when we talk about that item on item 35, I will mention that. But again, thank you for being here, and we appreciate the time that you give us here in the San Fernando Valley.
Thank you, Candido. Dr. Weissman, followed by Noel Weiss.
Well, I join my colleagues from Van Nuys Neighborhood Council in welcoming you to the Valley again. I would suggest that we have in this room more neighborhood council people than you've seen in one place in a long time, and I think that's wonderful. I could ask them all to stand, but you know who they are. And the public comment part of this meeting is an extremely important one. We've gone almost an hour over it. I sympathize with Mr. Weiss's wish to get on with his kind of business, but I think this kind of business is what we came here for. Thank you. I'd like to tell you about the meeting that was held at the Neighborhood Council Review Commission last night. It was a marvelous meeting. One or two of the people in this room were at that meeting too. We had the opportunity to see all four of the general managers of the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. They started with Rosalind Stewart, who is now Rosalind Stewart Wyman, of course. She had a tour of duty in Ms. Gruel's office and served our community here very, very well. It went on to Mr. Nelson, who served for the next 5 years until last April, to Lisa Sarno, who served last April until now, and she is just about to be replaced by Dr. Carol Baker Tharp. Each of these people have different styles of running the department that is so important to us neighborhood councils. I'm just going to mention the theme that each of them said. Ms. Stewart Wayman's theme would have been, a stakeholder is anyone who wants to participate. Mr. Nelson's theme would be, one size does not fit all. Ms. Sarno's theme would be, we need tools to help the neighborhood councils. And Ms. Dr. Tharp's position is, let us start forming partnerships. We're at a crossroads. We have great hope for Dr. Tharp and her administration of the neighborhood councils. We look for a kinder, gentler neighborhood council department and much more effective neighborhood councils. The turnout here today, I think, is a good demonstration that we're doing just that. Thank you so much.
Noel Weiss.
Last but not least, council members, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is. Mr. Labange, I'm going to try to talk slower because you told me I talk too fast. I'm here to advocate, basically, with all due respect, against Mr. Wesson's provision with regard to the tenant relocation issues. I don't think it was right with regard to how it was done, let alone the substance. What that essentially does, we have a simple proposition here, which is a 9017, plain and simple, recommended by the Planning Commission, not obviously pro-tenant. We have this same proposal was endorsed unanimously by the Encino Neighborhood Council, that's in Mr. Weiss's district, also the Encino Homeowners Association, again, not rabid tenant advocates. The Studio City Neighborhood Council also voted unanimously for this provision. It's simple, it's easy. To create, as Mr. Wesson does, a little sliver of tenants, 5 years or less, and then and because of the $2,300 difference, give them $2,300 less and basically say, okay, because of $2,300, now we have to create this huge bureaucracy, we have to income means, we have to income test people. It makes no sense. It is bad public policy, and it is not, I think, consistent with the idea of simplicity in legislation. What we really need is to smooth out the rough edges for these people, not create more discord, more animosity, more contentiousness between landlords and tenants. We need a simple proposition that will basically serve the interests of the tenants, which is, and the community as a whole. The middle class is really what we're talking about, because the middle class is getting reamed in this situation. They are getting destroyed, and we need to basically make it so that they can move forward in a way that's fair, that's appropriate, and consistent. And you can't do that when we all of a sudden create more bureaucracy. So I'm hoping that there will be some reconsideration, some serious reconsideration, so that we can do this simple, so that we can do it neat, instead of avoid really what amounts to the pretense and more government bureaucracy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Cardenas. That closes our public comment.
Thank you very much. I know the item of the Valley Fair wasn't agendized, but even though the Brown Act does apply, we do have a right to clarify some gross misrepresentations by some of the people from the fair. With that, the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, you haven't been told by the fair people this morning that they actually have an agreement contract for this year and next year over at the Hanson Dam venue. So they actually have a venue provided by the City of Los Angeles to have the fair. So the City of Los Angeles has opened its arms to the fair for many years. Our arms are still open legally and otherwise. The fair can happen this year if the board chooses to. Young people, Shelby and Marcy, if the fair does not happen this year, it is not because of the City of Los Angeles. It's because the fair board have failed you and the people of this community, not the City of Los Angeles. And also to Ms. Garcia and Mr. Honda, please learn how to communicate professionally with the people on the other side of the table. And the reason why I say that is because it's inappropriate for you to come to any venue like this and tell the public that you have an agreement when you don't have an agreement to have it here in the Sepulveda Basin or Woodley Park. People call it different things. Let me tell you, the agreement that was signed on behalf of the city is actually an intent agreement. And part of the wording that you failed to tell the people who you encouraged to come today is it is subject to the approval of both parties. It is the beginning. It is the beginning of a transaction. Just like many of you who have ever made an offer on a home, just because you put it in writing and you signed it, until both parties are finalized on all of the parts of the agreement, then it becomes a binding contract. So I really apologize to those of you who came here thinking that there was an agreement to move the venue from one part of the San Fernando Valley to another part of the San Fernando Valley. No, excuse me, that is legally a letter of intent. Mr. Honda knows that, Ms. Garcia knows that. We look forward to working with all of you. And to the young people, separate subject, to the young people, I am ready to work with all of you. My office is just down the hall. Ask for Linda. I will open up my schedule to meet with you here in my Van Nuys office. Come in. I want to sit down with you. I want to help you in any way that I can to help you with venues so that you could show your animals and live your passion. I'm very passionate about children living their dreams, and you were very passionate today. You have something you want. One of you wants to be a veterinarian. God bless you. I want to support you in that. So please, come down the hall to my office, and you will find out. My doors are open, and I welcome helping you in any way that I can. And if you can't show your animals this year at the San Fernando Valley Fair, it's not because of the City of Los Angeles. The Fair Board makes that decision, not the City of Los Angeles.
Mr. Smith.
And I know this is not a debate issue we can't really talk about. I thank you, Mr. Cardenas, for straightening some of those issues out. I would ask the city attorney to explain, because a lot of people came here today expecting to see something happen in action. They're petitioning us to do our job, but they need to know the legal constraints, I think, and how this can play out. So if the city attorney could please tell us what the Brown Act restrictions are, what our ability as a council to do, since it's not a commission action, and just explain to them the legalities that we have to follow in this kind of a situation.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. This item is not on today's agenda. It cannot be discussed by the council. A council member can give a brief response to a public speaker's comments, and that's what Mr. Cardenas has done to all the comments that were provided this last hour. But we cannot take action, the council cannot take action on anything regarding this issue today, and that's pursuant to state law. There's also an issue of the Board of Recreation and Parks Commissioners, their jurisdiction, and whether the City Council will take jurisdiction of that at a later time. So it's not within the City Council's purview today.
Further clarification, if somebody from this council was to introduce a motion today or next Tuesday to bring it to the council, we still have a restriction of 72 hours, and the council is on break at the end of next week, so we wouldn't hear it for a week and a half at the soonest. March 16th would be the soonest legally we could even discuss it if there was a motion today to do anything. So I just want everybody to understand the legalities of state law and how we deal with issues, and it really handcuffs our ability to even discuss this, unfortunately. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith, for asking that question, because I'm sure a lot of council members had that same issue. And thank you, Mr. Cardenas. Madam Clerk, our next item.
Next item, Madam President, is item number 14, and that was called special for cards from the public.
Miriam Fogler.
I'm talking on this matter because we're losing a lot of police officers, and I know why, because we're not paying them enough money. If you guys would give up some of your money, the city council members, of the $170,000 you get each year, I bet you we can hire a lot of officers.
Item number 14 is regarding a main street lighting district.
Matter.
On the what, excuse me?
The one for the overtime money for the Foothill?
I don't see that as the item.
That was 32, sorry.
32, okay, we'll take that item, and you can speak on 32. Madam Clerk, open the roll on item number 14, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Thank you. Next
And,
item.
Madam President, that ordinance is over until March 16th.
Thank you. Item 17, I believe, was a card. Mr. Zumadog?
Since we spent so much time on public comment, I'll waive this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zumadog. Appreciate it. Madam Clerk, open the roll on item number 17, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
11 ayes.
Thank you. Next item.
Item 29, called special by Councilmember Hahn.
Ms. Hahn. Ms. Hahn?
Yes.
Item number 29, Mr. Labange called special for you.
Because you're special. Thank you.
Members, I call the special request of Councilwoman Janice Hahn, so she
Yes.
could give a little background. Thank you.
This is not the right one. It's the other one.
It's number 30.
Actually, it was 30 that I
Okay.
wanted to
What
call
we'll do is we'll
special.
vote on this, and then we'll reconsider item
Okay.
30. Madam Clerk, open the roll on this item, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
11 ayes.
Thank you. If we could reconsider item number 30, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
11 ayes.
Thank you. Ms. Hahn?
Thank you. Thank you. And 29 was just an extension of a reward, but I really wanted to call this one special. It's very much a part of what's happened in the Harbor Gateway area. And while a lot of attention, and for me, actually, I even use the word the tipping point for gang violence in Los Angeles was the death of 14-year-old Cheryl Miller in the Harbor Gateway. However, the police, with their great police work, have been able to capture suspects and are moving forward with convictions in that one. But Arturo Ponce Mercado, a 34-year-old, was also brutally gunned down in the Harbor Gateway area actually a few days before Cheryl was killed. And he was standing in his driveway in the 1500 block of 205th Street in the Harbor Gateway and was gunned down. And many of the community members felt like this was also a racially motivated murder. However, there's no evidence that's been, or witnesses that have come forth to verify that. But this was also a senseless murder. And the racial tension in that area cried out that we put as much effort, and we also offer a reward for the killing of Arturo, as the attention that we placed on the killing of Cheryl. Any murder, any senseless, cowardly act that results in a murder of an innocent person should draw all of our attentions and demand that we all do whatever we can to end that violence. So we're offering today a $50,000 reward that we hope will compel witnesses to come forward. Everyone believes someone saw what happened. They do know what happened. They did see something. So we're asking that the community members come forward, provide evidence to LAPD so we can also solve this terrible crime. Because until we kind of move past the terrible murders of Cheryl and Arturo, long-term healing and long-term solutions for this community, I don't believe will really be able to gel. So we're hoping that this can be solved so that we can bring a little peace, a little closure to Arturo's family, as well as what we're doing to heal the death of Cheryl Green. We're meeting in the Harbor Gateway area every 2 weeks with community members. I'm meeting with them in 186th Street School to do the same things that we did in Watts a year ago, to try to figure out what's the root cause of the violence. We've had law enforcement come down in the Harbor Gateway area, which is welcome, but we know that long term we're going to have to deal with this racial tension. We're going to have to deal with keeping kids out of gangs in the first place. But I ask that you'll support this, and we're asking the community, if they know of anything, they can call anonymously. they can call Sergeant Rosemary Piazza at 310-522-2040. That's 310-522-2040. Colleagues, I hope you'll support me in offering this $50,000 reward to try to solve this problem and finally begin to heal the Harbor Gateway area of Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Madam Clerk, open the roll on this item, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
11 ayes.
Thank you. Next item.
Item 32, call special for cards from the public.
Yes, Miriam Fogler, excuse me, this is the item. Ms. Fogler? Not Zuma Dog. What number is this? This is item number 32.
Again, I'll just be brief. I know there's been a lot of controversy over the trash collection fees for 1,000 new cops. Well, I'd like to say I think the first little teensy-weensy trickle of money, $20,000 for some cops for CD14 for the bikes and foot patrol, $20,000 in overtime. That ain't even enough for one cop, but it's a start, y'all. Let's have some more of these 1,000 cops with the trash collection fees, and thank you for the first little trickle, y'all. It's going to make Doug McIntyre so happy and much less hateful, I'm sure. Now let's have an avalanche of money for these cops, y'all.
Thank you. Ms. Fogler.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I'm not trying to take more time than I have to because it's been a long morning. Thank you for all the time you gave us to the public for public comment. I'm here because I really love our policemen. They're police women in uniform. They really need the support, and you guys can, if you can give up some of your salaries, if you get $20,000 a year, give that back to our law enforcement, to our fire department, to these, these guys are putting their lives on the line. So I don't want to lose the young people coming up. I met a couple of them that want to come into the academy. I didn't recommend them. They already want to try to join. So I encourage them to go down and apply for being a police officer. So let's give them incentives. Let's get the officers to want to be here. Okay, let's make this a friendly, happy, and fun place to live in Los Angeles. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Have
you.
a good weekend.
Thank you. You too. Mr. Zine.
I'd just like to respond on the police recruitment efforts. We've done a number of incentives. We got additional incentives coming forward for the recruitment. There's signing bonuses. There's relocation bonuses. There's a number of bonuses. Military buyback. There's a lot of incentives that we're offering for people to join the Los Angeles Police Department. And this city has come forward along with the mayor to recruit anyone interested. We encourage you to come forward, not only the full-time officers but the reserve officers. Make sure that we put that message out. We're openly hiring police officers. And today also, let's congratulate those 40-plus officers who are graduating the academy today. They'll be hitting the streets tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Thank you. Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
11 ayes.
Thank you. Next item?
Item 33, call special by Councilmember Hahn.
Yes, Ms. Hahn.
Colleagues, I wanted to call this special because this is a transfer of about $219,000 from Prop 12 money, from MTA Call for Bids grant money, and it's to build an environmentally sensitive parking lot. And it's to build a parking lot by the White Point Nature Preserve in San Pedro. This is 102 acres of open space, probably the last 100 acres of open space anywhere that has been dedicated as a nature preserve. But we obviously want people to come look at that and walk through. There's hiking trails. And what this does is build an environmentally sensitive parking lot, not straight concrete, but materials that will allow permeable, which will allow the water to seep through it. And it's really to encourage the school buses to come and bring kids from all over the city to see this incredible nature preserve, again, which is, there's very few of those left in Los Angeles. So I just wanted to make a point of this and give a shout out to all those who worked so hard over the years to preserve this open space, and to know that today we're transferring the dollars that will build this environmentally sensitive parking lot, and hopefully kids from all over Los Los Angeles will be able to come, and those buses will be able to park sensitively and sensitive buses and enjoy this preserve. So I appreciate your vote on this.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Madam Clerk, open the roll on this item, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
11 ayes.
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Reyes.
No, I just wanted to wait for the vote to finish.
Oh, okay.
So I can move something forthwith.
Okay, what would you like to move forthwith?
Item 34, please.
Item 34 will move forthwith. Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Next item, Madam Clerk.
The next item, Madam President, is item 35, and that was called special for cards from the public.
Yes, Candido Merez, followed by Zuma Dog, followed by Miriam Fogler.
Thank you, Madam President. As I've had the honor since 1988 to be a member of the Citizens Unit for Participation on Housing and Urban Development. That's the CUP committee. That's the group that is involved with the consolidated plan. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about community development block grant dollars. We want to increase the cap from 15% to 25%. In 1992, when we had the riots, we increased that amount of money. What did that do? That helped stimulate the economy. It helped revitalize our neighborhoods. It happened after the earthquake. So for us to increase that cap to 25% is essential. This year we'll be spending about $116 million, which means about, I believe, $16 million will be, $114 million will be allocated for CBG funds, $16 million for public services. If we were to increase that number, it would go to $25 million. Can you imagine what we could do with that money? That would affect our LA Best program. That would affect our homeless program, our gang prevention programs. We need that increase. So congratulations. I hope we can make that happen. And again, this is a great effort on the part of the City Council. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Merez. Zuma Dog.
Yes, I hope Councilmember Weiss can watch us on the broadcast. He didn't listen to a thing Candido Myers said. He was just too busy distracting Wendy Grohl. But this is money we need, once again, to echo what Candy said. When you got Zuma Dog and Candy on the same side of the issue, it's time to pay attention, y'all, because even though we're friends, we usually differ politically. But we need this money. We need to increase some of the money that will go to, let's see, I wanted to read off some of these things, but he flipped the pages, y'all. Okay, human service, gang prevention programs, school partnership programs, homeless programs. This is where the mayor wants 10% more money to go to some of these things here, and it's been a long day. My hash brownie wore off, my concentration and ADD's kicked in, so let's just have a nice day, and I'll be stopping by that Prop 215 clinic in someone's district. They got a strip club and pizza parlor and a marijuana dispensary. I'll be there all afternoon. Thank you.
Miriam Fogler.
Hello. Yes, I'm going to make this brief and very precise. I don't want it permanent 25. I want it to go up as we need, based on need. I think it needs very thorough study here so that we can get the money that we need for our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just for the speakers, when after the 1992 civil disturbance, we were able to get federal legislation that allowed us to go up to 25%. Nationally, it is not to that number, and it was a way in which we were able to provide services to a number of people. We were able to keep that 25% for many, many years, and it was just a few years ago that Congress did not extend that 25%. This is an effort in which to keep that. There were some cities that were grandfathered in when they changed it, but the money we get from Community Development Block Grant is limited at this time, and we hope to change that. So thank you very much to those that were here. Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
11 ayes.
That item's been approved, and we're asking it to go forthwith. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those will be posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Hahn, this is a corrected request for March 30th to be excused the entire meeting. That meets council policy.
She will be excused.
Councilmember Weiss requests to be excused Tuesday, April 10th for personal business and Wednesday, April 25th for city business to leave at 11:30. Those both meet council policy.
He will be excused.
And Councilmember Huizar had turned in a request to be excused from today's meeting, and that meets council policy.
Thank you. He will be excused.
And that clears the desk, Madam President.
Thank you. Do we have announcements? Mr. LaBonge.
Very special announcements. I want to thank your office, all of you under the direction of Mayor Antonio Villagrosa and our Public Works President, Cynthia Ruiz. Tomorrow we kick off the Great American Cleanup Campaign. It's a national kickoff of the Keep Los Angeles Beautiful program of Keep America Beautiful. It's at City Hall steps with a kickoff at 8 a.m., and we go out in various projects throughout the district. We invite you all to come, and if you're listening to this, just come down to City Hall tomorrow at 9 o'clock and volunteer to help keep Los Angeles beautiful. Also, I'd like to say following day on Sunday will be the great Los Angeles Marathon, which originates in the San Fernando Valley right here at the Universal Studios. It'll run down Cahuenga Pass through Hollywood, through the Hancock Park area, Koreatown area, through the southern part of the city by the great Exposition Park, through the shadow of the Coliseum, down to south central area of Central Avenue, and back Jefferson around through the Garment District, over the great Boyle Avenue to the 6th Street Bridge back into town, 26.2 miles. It's a great event. It's a point-to-point event. We invite everybody to come, and for $3 pass, you can ride the Red Line all day and see it. So see the Los Angeles Marathon and wish everybody well in that event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to announce to the public that the Budget and Finance Committee will be holding its third of 4 meetings in the public. We'll be in the Valley at Van Nuys City Hall, 6 p.m. Monday, March the 5th. We hope the public comes out and discusses their priorities for the 07-08 budget. Also, on Saturday, March the 3rd at 11:30, there'll be a dedication in the 8th District at the Van Ness Recreation Center at 5720 2nd Avenue, in which we'll dedicate a new gymnasium and name it in honor of Johnny L. Cochran. Cochran's family will be there, the mayor will be there, and many of the 8th District residents.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Any other announcements, colleagues? Yes, Mr. Zine.
Thank you. I'd like to offer congratulations to Armand Arabian, who's going to be receiving his dinner award tonight for the Fernando Award for retired California Supreme Court Justice Armand Arabian. Also, tomorrow, Woodland Hills Sunrise Little League. A lot of the Little Leagues are kicking off their season. We want to offer them our congratulations and good sportsmanship. And also there is a parade, if I'm not mistaken, on Sunday. Saturday. There's a parade on Saturday on Hollywood, and that is going to be Hollywood next to Groman's Chinese New Year Parade in Hollywood. And also Purim Festival this Sunday at many of the temples in the San Fernando Valley. So we want to wish all of the folks a happy Purim.
You're being too shy. You'll be giving the keynote address on Sunday evening for the Guangzhou Los Angeles Sister City program. Mr. Zine visited Guangzhou a year after I led the way to make sure to warn them
Pave
about
the
Mr.
path.
Zine. And they all loved Mr. Zine and look forward to seeing you for that wonderful banquet in
I left my
Chinatown.
son over there. I wish he'd come home. So it's going to be an exciting weekend. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zine. Do we have adjourning motions today? Yes, we do. If we could ask everyone to please rise. Ms. Hahn.
Thank you, colleagues. Let's adjourn today in memory of Van Barberi, who was a was a San Pedro native, and he just passed away recently. He was 91 years old. Van was the son of immigrants from Ischia, Italy, one of our most recent sister cities, and later attended San Pedro High School. During World War II, he worked at Bethlehem Steel and Shipbuilding on Terminal Island, where he helped to build the first U.S. Navy destroyer on the West Coast, the USS Kendrick. After World War II, he joined the huge San Pedro fishing fleet as radio operator and deck crewman, and in 1954, Van joined ILWU Local 63 as a Marine clerk. He was elected to the executive board several times, and he retired from ILWU as a proud member of Local 63 and chief clerk at APL, Berth 93 in 1978. Van is survived by his loving wife of almost 69 years, Eva, and their 4 sons and their families, Van Jr., Dennis, Anthony, and John, as well as 5 grandchildren. He's also survived by his half-sister Antoinette and his nephews and their families. A funeral mass will be offered on March 3rd at 10:30 a.m. at Mary Star of the Sea Church, followed by a private interment at Green Hills Memorial Park.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Any adjourning motions? Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Madam President. Sally Valenzuela passed away February 19th, longtime resident of Canoga Park. Passed away at the age of 73. Devoted over 25 years of her life teaching preschool for Head Start in Canoga Park, where she was known to the children as Teacher Sally. Her dedication and passion to teach children was her life's devotion. She is survived by her husband, Robert, and 6 children, Rachel, Lorraine, Richard, Susan, Patricia, and Teresa. Sally Valenzuela, may she rest in peace.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Meeting's adjourned.